The Hockenheimring is a fan favorite, a driver favorite, and a track that needs to be on the Formula One calendar, but it's also a circuit with a rich history of crashes, security flaws, and frequent circuit changes. The Hockenheimring still exists, but the biggest part of the circuit is abandoned in a forest, but it might return. The original Hockenheimring was founded in 1932. The man behind it felt that a racing track in his hometown, Hockenheim, was needed. He designed a 12-kilometer-long track shaped like a triangle. It had a hairpin through the city and 2 long straights. The original name? Dreieckskurs, triangle course. In 1938, the first changes occurred. The circuit went from 12 to 7.5 kilometers, introduced the famous Ostkurve corner, and was renamed Kurpfalzring. The track was then damaged by tanks during World War II. They repaired it, and it got a new name again, Hockenheimring. In 1965, a new autobahn was built, separating the circuit from the city. John Hugenholtz, who also designed Suzuka, redesigned the circuit and built the stadium section. It made the circuit shorter again, but it was a great addition. The circuit came closer to the fans because of this. But in 1968, the circuit changed again. Jim Clark died in an accident, and 2 chicanes with crash barriers were placed. In 1982, another chicane was added, this time at the Ostkurve, again after a tragic death. In 1992, the Ostkurve was changed once more, turning it into a chicane to improve safety. During this time, Formula One raced at the circuit. It was a hard track to master. Drivers struggled with the high-speed sections, and engineers struggled with car setups. They had to choose between low downforce to achieve the best top speed for the forest section, or a compromise with more downforce to perform better in the stadium section. The majority of the race at the Hockenheimring took place in the forest section, which was roughly 1.3 kilometers. This limited the fans' ability to see the cars on track. With only 45 laps, it fell short and didn't fully capture the experience of attending an F1 race. In the 1980s, we got turbo engines and fuel restrictions. This led to multiple drivers failing to finish the race because they ran out of fuel. It gave us iconic footage of Alain Prost trying to push his McLaren to the finish line. But the real problems? They came around the 2000s, at least for Formula One. The 2000 Formula One Grand Prix at Hockenheimring was a legendary one. Rubens Barrichello started from 18th but finished first. The problem? Most of his overtakers were in the forest section and not in front of the fans. The race had changeable weather conditions, with pouring rain in the stadium and an almost dry forest. Midway through that race, a security breach was exposed. A former Mercedes employee decided to showcase the forest section's safety flaws. He breached the security barriers on the first forest straight and walked onto the track. Luckily, nobody got hurt. By 2002, the track was changed again. The FIA and F1 urged the Hockenheimring to make modifications, otherwise they'd relocate to the Lausitzring or Asia. They needed to improve spectator viewing, safety, and security. The track was no longer suited for Formula One. Besides the demands of the FIA and F1, the circuit needed a change. They were struggling financially due to a lack of funds and grandstands for spectators. The circuit also required a lot of maintenance, and being more than 7 kilometers long, that wasn't cheap either. The government of Baden-Württemberg secured financing for the redesign. The project was led by Hermann Tilke. While he is known for good designs, he's also the architect of Baku, Valencia, and Abu Dhabi. The Hockenheimring underwent a massive transformation and was shortened to just 4.5 kilometers. This made it easier to maintain and more affordable as an F1 circuit. The long forest straights were removed, which increased safety and improved visibility for spectators. With new corners and a new straight, overtaking was improved. They went even further and ensured that the old circuit would never be drivable again. The entire forest section was torn up and replanted, reinstating a forest but forever erasing a legendary part of racing history. This is something Tilke is known for. While he did gift us Istanbul Park, Sepang, and Old Singapore, he also destroyed the first section of Monza, changed Barcelona, and is a big fan of silly runoff areas. With the renovation, the circuit could now host 120,000 spectators. This was meant to benefit their financial situation, especially since it was sponsored by Mercedes-Benz. Next to the complex was also a drag racing strip, which hosts the largest drag racing event in Europe. But I still can't comprehend why the old part was taken away from us. Yes, it's safer, and spectators, they can enjoy the races more. But come on, seeing a Formula One car go through the forest with a screaming V10, it was something I enjoyed a lot. And I wasn't alone. Many drivers and team principals from that time, they criticized the changes and stated their preference for the old circuit. For me, personally, it stripped away a lot of the unique character of the track. After the redesign, the circuit struggled. In 2003 and 4, they had low attendance due to the high ticket prices. With the new layout, the Hockenheimring hosted a Formula One race every year, right up until 2007. But Bernie Ecclestone, he only wanted one German Grand Prix. At that time, we had two, Hockenheim and the Nürburgring, so they went into a rotation system. By 2010, the circuit was at risk of disappearing. With rising F1 hosting fees and no financial backing from the German government or car manufacturers, it seemed likely the contract would end. The Formula One group agreed to cover any losses when a Grand Prix was held, extending the contract until 2018. They kept struggling financially, but the races, they were great. In 2010, Fernando Alonso won his first race of the season for Ferrari after team orders. In 2012, Michael Schumacher set his 77th and final fastest lap. In 2014, local hero Nico Rosberg won, but fan attendance was very low. In 2018, rain played a part and made Sebastian Vettel crash in front of his home crowd. 2018 was supposed to be the final Grand Prix until Mercedes decided to celebrate their 125th year in motorsport and their 200th F1 race start. It was an absolute classic, with multiple crashes involving big names like Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. Nico Hülkenberg lost his first podium. Max Verstappen, he showcased his rain mastery. The best part? My wife was there as a spectator with my father-in-law. I wish I was there too. Despite the circuit's efforts, they couldn't get their finances under control, attract more sponsors, or bring in enough fans. Michael Schumacher's departure from Formula One, it affected them greatly. He was the face of the sport, especially in Germany. Sebastian Vettel, he never reached the same level of popularity. But why didn't a big manufacturer buy the circuit and keep it in Formula One? With Mercedes dominating at the time, it could have been a real opportunity. Just look at what Red Bull did with the Red Bull Ring. But the Hockenheimring, it had lost its glory due to the changes. Fans, they didn't attend, and hosting a Formula One race could cost up to 20 million euros, an unattractive prospect. The rotation system, that didn't help either. Last year, something happened that gave the fans hope. The local council and the circuit owners, they approved a private investor group to become the majority owner of the track, while the city remains a minority stake. The investors plan to invest 250 million euros over the next 5 to 10 years to develop the circuit and the surrounding infrastructure, expanding the Porsche Experience Center, building a modern hotel, and making other improvements, all aimed at attracting Formula One. While they've said they will take a cautious approach, I do have high hopes. With Mercedes in F1, Audi joining in 2026, and at least one German driver on the grid, who knows what can happen? If the sport grows in Germany, the circuit gets upgraded, and Formula One sees the potential, we might get the Hockenheimring back, and who wouldn't want that? Now you know everything about the Hockenheimring and why it might return. But what happened to the Formula One calendar with races in Miami, Jeddah, and Qatar that don't belong in the sport?